Alright guys, today's notes are all about slope, okay? So there's two ways. We can use a formula to find slope, or we can just count on a graph to find slope. Okay, so the formula for finding slope, if you don't remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that equals the slope. So right here, it's equal to m. M is always the slope. So what will happen if you use this formula for a horizontal line? Well, if we think about it, right, a horizontal line looks like this. So then all of the y values are the same. So say this is a line that goes through 2. That means at one point we would have 2 for a y value. At another point we would have 2 for a y value. The x's could be anything we want. Say we went through 0 as an x and we went through positive 1 as an x. Well, then that would give us 0 over negative 1. So then the slope for a horizontal line is always going to be 0, no matter what. What will happen if we use this formula for a vertical line? So in the same sense, let's think about, well, if that line was vertical instead of horizontal. So now let's say, okay, we're going through an x value that is 2. Well, that means on the bottom this time, we're going to have a 2 minus a 2. The y value, we could be going through, I don't know, 0 and 1 again. So 0 and 1. So then that's going to give us negative 1 over 0. Well, in math, we can't do this, right? We can't divide by 0. That would give us an error on our calculator. So the slope for all vertical lines is undefined. All right. Which line is steeper? The line that passes through the points 2, 1 and negative 3, 4, or the line that passes through 7, 3 and 5, negative 4? So for this one, really, it's just asking, well, which one rises faster and or runs less. So to do this, we really just need to calculate the slope. So we have x1, a y1, an x2, and a y2 for both of these. So we're going to go 4 minus 1 over negative 3 minus 2. That's going to give us 3 over negative 5 for one of the slopes. And then the other slope, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to have negative 4 minus 3 over 5 minus 7. Okay, so that's going to give us negative 7 over negative 2. Okay, well, if we look at these two and we compare them, the one on the left only goes up 3, while the one on the right is moving 7. So that one's rising a lot steeper. And then we can also look and we can say, well, this one's run is 5, so that's a kind of long run. This one has a run of 2, so not nearly as long as 5. So overall, the slope that is going to be steeper would be this one over here that's actually positive 7 halves. Okay, and although this one is negative on the left, it doesn't mean it's going to be steeper or less steep. Okay. Next part, it says for each of the following, sketch a graph using the provided information. So it says it wants a line with a positive slope. Well, I'm going to make my line orange. Okay, so a line with a positive slope is just one that is going up from left to right. Okay, so we can say that. So it goes up from left to right. So then a positive slope could be something that looks like this. Next, it wants a line with a slope of 0. Well, we've already talked about lines with a slope of 0, right? Those are our horizontal lines. So then it just wants us to create a horizontal line somewhere in here. And yours does not have to match mine exactly, guys. It can look different for sure. Next, it wants a line with a negative slope. So this is going down from left to right. That would be a negative slope. So then a negative slope just needs to be going down if we start on the left and go to the right. It wants a line with an undefined slope. That is our vertical line. Okay, so then that is just going to be a line that's going straight up and down on the graph somewhere. Remember, lines always have to have arrows on each end. Next, it says to sketch a line parallel to the line given in the graph to the left. What is the slope of this line and why? Okay, so if we look at this, parallel, we just need to draw a line that's not going to intersect the line that we have at all. Let's see if we can get one here. I think that's good. The slope of this line, right? Parallel lines have the same slope. So parallel lines have the same slope. And then it says sketch a line perpendicular to the line given. Okay, and then what we need to remember about perpendicular, it means that it has a special type of slope as well. I'm going to try to go through a point on this line. See if we can't count it out here. So slopes that are perpendicular, or lines that are perpendicular, have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so then our parallel line would have the same slope as the one given, so it looks like this is down 1 to the right 2, so negative 1, 2. So the slope for here is negative 1 over 2. And then the slope for our perpendicular line then is going to be positive 2. Okay, so that's what opposite reciprocals means. So if you have a slope, say our slope is A over B, if we want to make it the opposite reciprocal, we make it negative and then B over A, because the reciprocal is the part that flips. Opposite means that the sign changes from positive to negative or negative to positive. Okay. Whoops, it asks us right here what the slope of this graph is. It's negative 1 over 2. Alright, so it says summarize your results about the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Well, I kind of summarized them right here, guys. So all you need is just that parallel lines have the same slope, perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So you don't need to rewrite that if you already wrote it. Tell whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither without drawing a graph. Show your work. So it wants us to say, are the lines through negative 3, 3, and 3, negative 1 parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, the way we figure out is we just need to find the slopes. So what I'm going to do is negative 1 minus 3, right, these two, divided by 3 minus negative 3, so the other two. And then that would give us our slope for the first line. So that is negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. 3 minus negative 3 gives us positive 6. So it's our first line, and then our second line is right here. So 3 minus negative 3, 3 minus negative 3, over, and then 2 minus negative 2. So that gives us 6 over positive 4. So it looks like this is 6 over 4, which could reduce to 3 halves, which you don't need to reduce, guys, in this case anyway. And then the other one would be negative 2 thirds. So these two things are opposite reciprocals, which means that the lines then are perpendicular. Sweet. Alright, next type of question. It says find the value of k so that the line through the given points has the given slope. You can figure this question out, guys, just thinking about it, okay? And thinking about what does it mean to have a slope of 1 and go from this point to this point. Or you can do it mathematically, right? So in this case, we have a x1, x2, x1, x2, y1, y2, and then we just plug into the formula. 1, the slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 0. And then it's just a solving problem from there, right? So we have 1 is equal to 4 minus k over 3. multiply 3 to each side, gives us 3 is equal to 4 minus k. Subtract 4, and that would give us negative 1 is equal to k, equal to negative k, sorry. And divide by negative 1 from both sides, and when we get 1 is equal to k. And then last but not least, slopes can be used to measure a rate of change, or how much one quantity changes with respect to another. For example, it may be a change of distance versus time, or a change of height versus change in distance, or a change in amount of one thing versus a change in amount of another thing. So this wants us to try our hand at a rate of change problem. It says the Terminator weed grows at a crazy fast speed of 5 inches every month. Graph the plant's growth with months on the x-axis and plant's height on the y-axis. Then determine the slope of the plant's growth. So it wants months on the x, and it wants plant's height on the y. Okay, so our x value is our months. So months count by one at a time. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. And then if we look here, it says 5 inches every month. So then we're talking about every time we go up 1, so we start here at 0, it needs to go up 5. So depending on how you want to label your y-axis, you could put 5 tick marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you could count each tick mark as 5. So you could say, well, this is 5. That would be this 10. This is 15. This is 20, so on and so forth. Okay, well, if it goes 5 inches every month, so we go 1 month, then it's going 5 inches. We go 2 months, we go 5 inches. Okay, you just have to be careful when you graph this and determine the slope. See, it says determine the slope of the growth. This graph looks like it goes to the right 1 and then up 1, but we didn't really go up 1, instead we went up 5. So the slope of this is 5 over 1, which is just 5. Okay, I want you guys to try number 8 and then come to class with any questions that you have about it.